Hi everyone, this is Dr. K. Welcome to my video series. Today I plan to talk about eating disorders and obesity. My topic today is emotional eating. It's very common. I noticed it myself and a lot of my friends and in general public. And you probably have noticed that in your friends and family and relatives and close associates. So I want to talk about what emotional eating is and how it works out in general life. So, so one thing we all have is stress. Without stress is part of life, especially in the developed world. Stress is like somebody in the traffic who's holding up the traffic, or somebody is too fast and they're trying to cut you off. Stress can be from kids or from relationship, or stress can be from business or work. You have a lot of pressure from your bosses, or your somebody is working underneath you and they're not doing their job, so you have to take that extra stress. So stress is something that we cannot run away from. We can only cope with it. Everybody has stress in the developed world. But what stress does is it leads to guilt. Let's say you're experiencing stress with your kid, and let's say the kid is throwing a temper tantrum, and let's say they're doing poorly at school. That causes guilt, and to overcome the guilt, a lot of people they go to comfort foods. So they tend to overeat, or they tend to eat the wrong kinds of foods. So overeating would be, instead of eating this much portion, they're eating a this big portion. So instead of eating one serving, they're eating 2 or 3 or 5 servings. So instead of eating, let's say, one donut, they're eating a whole package of donuts or a whole bag of donuts. A classic example of that is going to the pizza place. Instead of ordering 1 or 2 slices, they order a large pizza and eat the entire thing by themselves. So that is overeating. And what overeating does is it increases the sense of guilt, and it also causes anxiety, because now they have some self-awareness. They're not completely self-aware, but they know that what they're doing is wrong. They know that for sure, and that causes anxiety. Now it creates fear in their mind. What's going to happen from this? And the other problem they experience is it can cause more sleepiness. So let's say you eat a large pizza all by yourself, and this is at lunchtime. You're barely functional for 2 to 3 hours after that. It causes sleepiness. The body has to use a lot of resources to digest that amount of food. So the body takes the energy away from the brain and other parts of the body that need the work done, and you're not able to get the work done. And now that your productivity has gone down, the same task will take a long period of time to get accomplished. So if you have a project that you're working on, you wanted to spend 1 hour, now it's taking 3 hours or 4 hours. So it can lead to bad emotions. So it can cause more anxiety, it can cause more anger, frustration, and it can also cause sadness. So what happens with these negative emotions is it triggers your adrenal gland to release more cortisol. So we'll go back to the first one, stress. Because of the stress, the adrenal gland is not able to differentiate you being chased away by a tiger versus you experiencing stress because of kids. For both the stimuli, it causes a lot of cortisol to be released. And the cortisol helps you focus, it helps override the stress, but it also makes you more hungry. So you tend to start overeating again. And what it does is it keeps you more awake, it helps you fight the sleep. And eventually what leads is it increases the calorie consumption, it causes weight gain. So you start accumulating more fat in the abdomen area. You start to experience fat accumulation in the nape of the neck area. And because of the excess cortisol, you tend to experience either diabetes or prediabetes, where there's more sugar in the bloodstream than the body needs. And the body develops what is known as insulin resistance, where the cell has insulin receptors, but they are downregulated. So even though there's insulin, the glucose does not get into the cell. So because of the weight gain, it leads to poor self-image. It not only leads to other medical problems like high blood pressure, diabetes, but it leads to poor body image or poor self-image, especially in women. Because of the poor self-image, what it does is it goes back to the emotional issues of sadness, anxiety, anger, and so forth, and those are perpetuated. So it goes back and creates more stress. Now, because of the poor self-image, they know that they have to exercise, they have to eat less, but because of this vicious cycle, they're eating more than eating less. They're eating the wrong foods. They're eating comfort foods like donuts or concentrated carbohydrates or pizza or something that gives calories right away in the body. So the overeating, eating wrong foods, that is worse. So this vicious cycle keeps continuing, and we have what is known as the TV show, The 600 Pound Life, where now they are 600 pounds instead of being 100 pounds or 200 pounds. So this is how obesity happens because of emotional eating. So I hope this information is helping you. I'm going to talk about further steps on how to stop this cycle in my next video series. Thank you very much.